Hello, my name is Sister Nkechi Liliani Waha, a member of the Poor Handmaids of Jesus Christ. This day, I would like to shift gears a little bit and greet you, my dear African brothers and sisters, both in the motherland and in the diaspora. I greet you in the name of God and ask for grace and peace of God to dwell in your hearts. I greet you this day because it is a day that we celebrate Africa liberation, May 25th. I also greet you, dear friends, in Asia, Europe, and the Americas who desire economic emancipation of African people. I speak this day as a member of the newly formed Coalition for Africa Liberation and Restoration, CLA. CLA is a collaborative initiative of numerous groups on the continent and in the diaspora. We invite faith-based groups, civil society organizations, individuals, and active groups who are ready to join in this undertaking to collaborate to free Africa from the stranglehold that keeps Mama Africa's children in poverty conditions, so as to restore Africans to their endowed dignity. After a series of meetings held in the past weeks, our group decided to put forward a declaration to mark the Africa Liberation Day, which is today, May 25th. I would be publishing the declaration, but I thought it would be important also to summarize it for those of you who might be very busy and may not have time to read the long document. In that way, you can have it, playing in your car or when you eat or just sit to relax, and you can listen to what this declaration is about. So on this day, Africa Liberation Day, May 25th, we as people of faith and conscience stand together during this COVID-19 crisis to lift up the ideals of Africa's liberation. In this document, we talked about recognizing and confidently asserting the power and dynamism of African people. The origins of the human family lie in Africa, and that we want to let people all over the world know about this cradle of humanity that emerged from Africa. We call ourselves to look inward and find the gold within. Currently home to over 1.3 billion people, Africa is leapfrogging thanks to her innovation. And this innovation, it's even further exemplified during this pandemic period. We also call people to join forces to pursue economic justice now. These advances emerge despite a difficult context. The continent, of course, we know, bleeds from resource exploitation, leaving its health systems fragile. Weak governance continues to expose Africa to organized criminal activities, both from some foreign governments and multinationals who skillfully avoid taxes, manipulate prices, and limit opportunities for manufacturing. And of course, do not teach our people the skills that they need to be able to feed themselves. We believe in a stronger, united Africa and a better world that is inevitable. We called our people in this document to mobilize domestic resources to make universal healthcare a reality. Economic justice must include quality public health care for all. And in April of 2001, we knew that the African Union member states agreed to allocate at least 15% of their annual budgets to health. Nearly 2 decades later, most countries have fallen far from this mark. We called our people as well to protect the planet and its people and democratize all essential services. We, people of African descent, have power to build a better future. We demand full commitment to women and girls as leaders, entrepreneurs, and agents of change. We called ourselves to honor the sacrifices of our ancestors and demand leadership that puts the interests of the people first. We called upon the African Union, national leaders, faith-based organizations, social movements, civil societies, the diaspora, and all people of goodwill to free ourselves from the shackles of oppression and break from the tutelage of the West and China and promote accountability at all levels of human interaction. And so we stand as a bridge to the blessings of the future generations, so that in that way, our children will not suffer. We will leave a legacy for our children that they will remember that we are truly their African ancestors that spoke for them, that stood up for ourselves, and call to action what we want to do as a people. And as a religious, I would like us to also remember that this call, as Charles Bolchard reminded us, is about advocacy, prophecy, and the common good. All these three are linked if we want to look at it from the point of view of the spirituality of justice. And the common good is eminently human good. It has social, economic, and political dimensions, but it has theological significance too, in that it foreshadows and to some extent begins to realize the reign of God in the temporal order of things. We are reminded by Charles Bolchard as well that advocacy is being prophetic. And of course, the good news is that we have a political system that can, in principle, deal with inequality and distribute the world's goods in a way that serves the common good. So there are some individuals who are graced with a prophetic imagination. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke openly about his dream. Many of our founders and foundresses of our communities had an uncommon vision of human dignity, and they stood by it. Advocacy and politics play a much bigger role today than they did in the past, when healthcare was primarily a work of charity. And so we are called to be a people that are prophets to one another. And that is the mandate that Jesus gave us as Christians, to go out there and be disciples that can make a difference and implement and advocate for social change. So as we cultivate a prophetic spirituality, even if we are deep in the weeds of clinical care or public policy or advocacy, we know that truly it is a God project. And so it is not just enough to pray. We, each and every one of us, Africans, must engage in some form of advocacy for systemic change in the African continent. And we invite our brothers and sisters from all over the world, the global community, who have the interest of Africans in their hearts, to come join us to make a difference for our people, for our next generation, for our children. I would like us to commit this declaration into God's hands and pray that our leaders will see with us. We'll pray that the multinationals, all the governments will also be part of this movement to free Africa and truly free us. Because Africa independence is not enough without Africans taking responsibility for their lives, making decisions for where and how and what their resources are used for. And so I'd like us to remember that as Christians, we are truly called to be prophets to our nations. And I would like to close with a prayer for each and every one of us who call ourselves African Christian, African Muslims, whatever faith, African traditional religion, whatever faith you belong to. This is a responsibility for each and every one of us to stand up to injustice. This is the time for action. This is the time to use our voices to say no, enough is enough, and that our children must live to see what it is that Africa has to offer them. And so I pray that God will grant us courage to leave behind whatever keeps us from trusting in the life that God gave us. May our hearts connect with God so strong and so true that we are ready to risk the road of following in God's footsteps. Keep us open, O God, to the adventure of life, where we meet you day by day. Remind us often of our inner goodness. Help us to live your life open to be advocates and prophets for one another. Help us to believe that you look upon us with love. Thank you for the call to be your disciple, the disciple that will want a change and to make a difference. With our voices, to daddy our hands, and to leave a legacy that our children will one day thank us for. So I invite you, all my brothers and sisters all over the world, to make noise, not in an aggressive manner, but engage people in contemplative dialogue, to really ask ourselves as African people, how long should we sit back and wait? How long? How long should we sit back and wait? If Martin Luther King did not speak up, come up, nothing would have happened. I pray for each and every one of you that the God of truth will be with you. I pray for all our leaders, all our African leaders, wonderful, manly males, that truly God will be with you. Open your eyes, open your heart, to hear the cry of your people, that we do not engage in selling out Africa, that we remember that we have a legacy to offer our own children. I sincerely pray for each and every one of our leaders, that they will hear our voice as we come together as members of this coalition for African liberation and restoration, that together we will find a way. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And God bless for listening. Thank you.